Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I'm very happy that one more time get the opportunity be to be the friends from the group, the ZEC MIT Shia Muslim Association group. Before everything else, I congratulate the occasion, which is the birthday of Imam Hassan alayhi salam, tomorrow, the 15th of Ramadan, which is coincided with the kind of the topic we are discussing. This will be the second lecture of this series, which is about the abdication of Imam Hassan alayhi salam, is mostly related to the 6 months of the period of his caliphate. So I started with this verse for the blessing. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Innama yuridullahu liyushhiba ankum ar-rijsa ahlal bayti wa yutahhirakum tatheera. Indeed, God desires to repel all impurity from you, O people of the household, and purify you with a thorough purification, which the one of the household definitely is Imam Hassan alayhi salam. As you are aware, this is also the one of the last pictures we have from the Baghi cemetery in Medina, which was the four of Imams were buried in this shrine, but those tombs were destroyed after the Wahhabis get control of that country. So as also we discussed the previous lecture, Imam Hassan alayhi salam is very important, and not only for the Shias as the second Imam, grandson of the Prophet, the Sayyid al-Shabab Ahl Jannah, the Lord Doyen of the youth in the paradise. It is important with the Sunni piety too, and also from member of Ahlul Bayt, and also the fifth rightly guided caliphs. And not all, but a good majority of them really consider Imam, a good number of the Sunni scholars consider Imam Hassan alayhi salam, or remind or have in mind Imam Hassan alayhi salam as the fifth caliph, fifth rightly guided caliph. He was elected according to the rules which is accepted. And as Jalaluddin al-Suyuti, the famous Egyptian Sunni scholar, has put it, after Imam Hassan alayhi salam, the caliphate changed to Mulukiyya, the Khilafat changed to Mulukiyya, and the first Malik was Muawiya. So before starting the discussion, because this is the occasion of the birthday of Imam Hassan alayhi salam, really maybe it was more apt to discuss some of her personal virtues, his moral character. But I think other speakers will do, but still I think I should mention, we know that he was a role model exemplarily. He lived in Medina. He especially after his abdication, and he adopted a kind of secluded life, avoiding any political activities, engagement, life of piety and role modelness. He went many times to Hajj from Medina to Mecca. It is said some of them on feet. He splitted his wealth to the half a few times, or some people say give all his wealth and restarted anew. And some of these also we have to have in mind, besides its role modelness for the people. This example is more gets a much higher contrast when we compare it with Muawiya, because exactly when Imam Hassan about 9 years after his abdication was living in Medina and Muawiya was the caliph, Muawiya was building castles, which he started much earlier in time of Osman, living a life of luxury. I think his sentence is ascribed to him, I rolled in the wealth or pleasures of in the this world. So the piety and charity of Imam Hassan alayhi salam is really more understood if you contrasted him with Muawiyah. That's the nickname of Karima Ahlul Bayt is adopted or chosen for Imam Hassan alayhi salam. So unfortunately, we're not discussing those aspects, but I'm pretty sure the other speakers, like Hujjatul Islam Duagu, which talks on Sundays, will take care of that side of it very well. Going back to what we discussed, and I'm going to review and say a little more detail, some part of it. But this is the map at the time, which Uh, uh, kind of at the last 2 years of Imam Ali Caliphate, the green area was the control of Imam Ali, which is kind of the same regions was when Imam Hassan reached the Caliphate was under his control and jurisdiction. The red part was the control of Muawiya, and especially the important strategic gain was the capture of Egypt by Muawiya, Muawiya and Amras after the martyrdom of Malaki Ashtar Muhammad ibn Abu Bakr. But the important thing after the Siffin War, which was uh, after 2 years after Siffin War, which is Imam Ali was the caliph, was this raids Muawiyah did, to produce a reign of terror, to show instability and showing kind of implicate the weakness of the Imam Ali government. They did raids, and mostly in this part, the Yemen and the Hijaz area, and they did many killings. And there are famous stories over there. He used one of his vicious, cruel ruler commanders, Busr ibn Abi Artat. And then many of the supporters of Imam Ali alayhi salam from Yemeni tribes, although they mostly living in Kufa at that time, but they have relatives, family here too. So this is farther away, most of the bulk of military was here. So he find time to do this. And then we discuss, so I'm not going, I will discuss the conditions and Imam Hassan reached to the caliphate, what the situation was. So I don't repeat that, but the map which we want this is actually the map at the time of the really Sasani, late Sasani, the early Islamic era, the names, the canals, channels, all those stuff. Unfortunately, the map is in Persian, but I think most of you can read. So this is the Kufa, which is the capital of Imam Ali alayhi salam. Imam Hassan was resident here too. Muawiya, the exchange letters start to move toward Imam Hassan alayhi salam. In his letters, he was encouraging to Imam Hassan abdicate, to get peace, because to give up the political power, because this is the most optimal situation for Muawiya, because he wants legitimacy to capture the caliphate, which we discussed some of those issues last lecture. But at the time which we were kind of stopped was this, that at the front of the Muawiyah's army was here near Baghdad. So, this is Baghdad, but it's got Maskan. It was here, mostly here. I'm not sure exactly where it is, but you can search on today's Iraq map today. I tried to search it. There was also a famous other battle happened here. So he's mostly around here and maybe a little bit closer to Baghdad. He's Muawiyah's camp. But Imam Hassan split the army in two parts. One, which is the vanguard, which was kind of was maybe the elite or the ready part of the army, which was 12,000, send it forward to stop Muawiyah's march. Because the last war with Imam Ali, with the Siffin Iraqi army, Imam Ali army was in the domain of Muawiyah. Siffin is closer to the Damascus and Sham. But this time Muawiyah marched, and now he's entering to the area which is called Iraq. This is still called Jazeera, but I think we have to, yeah, he's entering. And then so part of the vanguard is here, but then Imam came after the vanguard, which is 12,000, and Imam is here at Sabat Niz Madain. So the intentions go to the Madain. I'm not sure the intention is, I mean, later on they do, but they're passing the river or not, because this is all with barricades. So this is the situation. Part of the army of Imam is here, part in this area, and just holding lines in front of Muawiyah's vanguard army. And the commander of the two characters, we got too many names, things get complicated. The same way Malik Ashtar is the big name, or maybe Ammar Yasser or some Sahl ibn Hunayf, Usman ibn Hunayf were a big name in the time of Imam Ali, which they are here. Sahl ibn Hunayf, Usman ibn Hunayf, they are still here. But the two names we have to have in mind is Qais ibn Sa'd ibn Wadi Ansari, which is also big in the time of Imam Ali, and he's deserved to be known more. I mean, he's really second to Malik in some aspects. And then the second person is Ubaydullah ibn Abbas ibn Abdul Muttalib, the cousin of Imam Ali, brother, his more famous brother Abdullah ibn Abbas is called Ibn Abbas. it seems in the time of Imam Ali, Qais ibn Sa'd ibn Ubadah, which was the son of the leader of Khazraj, which again we discussed in last lecture, at the time of Saqifa. So Saqifa happened in the gathering place of Khazraj with Sa'd ibn Ubadah, the father of Qais, was the host. He was trampled by the supporters of the two caliphs. Qais was a very loyal supporter of Imam Ali, and he was very influential. Now he was the commander of the vanguard in time of Imam Ali, but it seems it's a little way Ubaidullah ibn Abbas is now the commander of the vanguard, the 12,000, which confronting Muawiya here. And it seems some skirmishes happens between them. You know, those who think all is peaceful or stuff like that. No, there was some engagement between, especially the vanguards here, and some fights. And actually, the unit 12,000 unit did very well. Overall, the army of Imam Hassan was smaller to the army of Muawiya. Muawiya, the numbers are about 60,000, and the Imam Hassan's army, which was being prepared in time of Imam Ali to going against Muawiya, is 40,000. So 12,000 and here, and the rest are here around Madain. And Ubaidullah ibn Abbas, it seems, is the commander. And the Qais is the second in the line. So Imam Hassan did some change. But Ubaidullah should take the decision with the consultation with Qais and another person. And this is important, you know, so we discussed that. Now we discussed that while the vanguard was waiting around here and holding Muawiya, and some skirmishes, small battles happened, and then waiting the main part of army reaches over there, because they may be ready. These ones must be called from different tribes. Some things happen here. And Muawiya played both camps very well. You know, we are not 100% the details sure, but he must have spies, he must have agents, spread rumors and false information of fake news from one side of the camp to the other one, always accusing the other side betrayed, changed side, joined Muawiya, they're stopped fighting, and both ways. We discussed that. Maybe we're going to see it. We discussed it, and the order is a little bit unclear. The things which are certain, and maybe I will repeat again. When this vanguard reached to Muawiya's camp, the skirmishes they would show strength, and Muawiya, I think, maybe get worried again. The story of Safain will be repeated. Start to go to bribing them. He first tried to bribe Qais, which is the deputy commander, and the Qais really solidly stood. At some stage, he started to bribe the commander, Ubaidullah ibn Abbas, and it seems he was successful. I mean, at some stage, it seems Ubaidullah get the 1 million dirham. Some people say 100,000 dirham, but mostly say 1 million dirham. And he defected to the Muawiya side, because the story says one day Qais was ready, because they do a morning prayer in Jama'ah, and the people come out, they're waiting when Ubaidullah Abbas, the commander, comes to do prayer with them. He doesn't show up, and then they noticed last night he's defected to Muawiya's camp. And then Qais get the leadership that's in charge, and does the prayer, and then talk to the people, said, okay, don't worry, people. His family, for example, his father was so and so, he wasn't much converted to Islam late. And I think at these stages, Qais shows very great leadership, because it's not a very good situation. Your commander is defecting. And so Qais hold on everything. And from this point to the rest, to the end, we don't hear about Ubaidullah. So that's, I think, would indicate really the defection has happened, or he's getting out of maybe not joining the camp, maybe he left the whole battle. And because some of the scholars, which I really respect them, like Dr. Ghoddoussi in Iran, they want to argue really Ubaidullah hasn't betrayed, but they accept the money was exchanged. But they call it the later stage, when the whole question is that what is the order? Which one was the cause? He accepted the money before the Imam Hassan accepted peace, or he accepted the money after Imam Hassan accepted the peace. I doubt Muawiyah can pay money after he has the peace. He does no need for it. And then one reason maybe some people do that is this because Ubaydullah ibn Abbas is father-in-law of Abul Fazl Abbas, the brother of Imam Hassan or Imam Hussein, the commander in Karbala. So his daughter of Ubaydullah ibn Abbas was the wife of Hazrat Abul Fazl Abbas. So I don't know, these questions are there, but I'm thinking the easier way for now we go to story. He's sidelined, he accepted and defected. So this is not a good situation. I believe this also has happened before the Imam Hassan accepted the peace. But the point was that the newses which Muawiya spread in both camps produced really chaos or doubt. And then at one stage, if you're going back to this map, at one stage when Imam Hassan is here, the which we're going to investigate in detail, the members of his army attack his tents, members of his own army, kind of mutiny happened. And I mean, literally or figuratively pull the carpet underneath of him, put his life even in danger. The protection of two of tribes saved him. And then the question is exactly the point. When this happened, why this happened, wasn't clear. Last time I kind of skipped it, the details. I give my best interpretation, but I'm thinking because these lectures are mostly academic bent, a little bit study how to treat the history, how to get familiar with this text, how we should approach them. I think this is a good example. I'm not saying you're going to do fine detailed analysis. I give the versions and then I would choose one, and then you will see it's not easy. You cannot always give one text a preference to other texts. So one part of text we think is this one is better, one part the other one is better. But putting them all together, I mean, we have to say sometimes each gets one part of the story, and then some of them are very abbreviated, some are longer. So the whole issue is that while Imam Hassan's vanguard was waiting for his arrival at Maskan, Imam Hassan himself was facing serious situation in Madain, near Sabat, near Madain. Some of his troops rebelled against him, plundered his tent, and fell upon him. So you see, army, even before really truly engaging in the war, is getting in a very bad situation. And division in both camps and suspicion from both sides, it makes it hard. And then 5 different versions of this rebellion are given. So this would be an important part of our today discussion. So I reviewed a little bit for the people. Maybe not here in the previous lecture. Okay, the first one is from Tabari. Tabari is another version of Ibn Shahab Zuhri too, which we did not discuss it. Ibn Shahab Zuhri is a very Umayyad version, and maybe Abbasid also spice it and strengthen it. That version is totally doesn't match with the other versions, and for all the whole story, the events of Caliphate. And it wants to say from the beginning, Imam Hassan wants to give up the Caliphate. He wasn't a man of war. He doesn't want it. He was forced on him. But this is not true. You look, all the steps you see Imam Hassan is really seriously encouraging the Kufans, make the army ready, make all preparations for it, make the letters. We went to the letters and discussions, communication between Muawiya and Imam Hassan alayhi salam. So that Ibn Shahab we don't discuss. But there is another version in Tabari, which is according to Awana. And then each one explain what happened. So this one says, someone suddenly spread the news in the army of Imam Hassan when they're near Madain that Qais had been defeated and slain and the troops should flee. So this is the rumor spread because the camps are farther away, but it seems systematically are bombarded by the fake news. And then so this is the cause that suddenly those parts of the army attacked Imam Hassan's tent and plundering it and attacking himself. We can assume there were some agents of Muawiya here, which they maybe started the riot, and then maybe some Khawarij is there. We'll see that the Khawarij is still present in the army. Even in the Battle of Nahrawan, 8,000 were saved, joined back to the ranks of Imam Ali's army. 4,000 were killed, and there are many other of them. And then Okay, if this version is correct, then the spreading of the rumor must have been a well-calculated ruse and act of espionage by the spies of Muawiya. You know, the camps are not that open, so he must really have some people inside which are working with him, which is makes sense. You know, where even the time of Imam Ali, maybe he start to spread and put his agents in connection, who had with any doubt infiltrated the rank and file of Imam Hassan's army. If this rumor, this fast spread and it produced this outcome, then really there must be good substantial of agents of Muawiyah inside the army itself, inside the camp itself. The other version is from Yaqubi, the other famous historian, which has Shia tendencies to. It says, which I was more leaning to this one last time, but I mean, this is not essentially very different. And Muawiyah, besides communications with Imam Hassan, the letters, send agents and send people to, they're trying to do armies approaching each other, talking, messages, negotiations, stuff like that. And they send these three guys, which Al-Mughayrat ibn Shu'bah, Abdullah ibn Amir, and Abdurrahman al-Hakam. Mughayrat al-Shu'bah this one is very important. We said it, this guy is really from Saghif tribe from Taif. The same way Mukhtar and his father from Saghif tribe. You know, historically, Moorish was Mecca, Saghif were from Taif. They have connections, they have rivalries. And during this period of Umayyads, very often the governorships would go to the Saghifis. So the rulerships, the upper hand with Quraysh, but Saghifs have many positions too. So they kind of accepted the second-hand position, but they cooperated a lot. This Mughayrat al-Shu'bah, after this peace treaty, become governor of Kufa. He's the one also put the idea Yazid become caliph. So he's a very tricky guy. His Islam is also a very shady situation. It seems he was, by the law of even Mushrikin, he should be punished because killed somebody, but he escaped, become Muslim. And the issue of assassination of Omar is related to him too, because Abu Lolo, it seems, worked with him for him. And then he treated him very badly. And then he complained to the second caliph. Second caliph didn't listen to him. At least this is the official story. And then he assassinated him. So this guy must have some hand in it. They come talk to Imam Hassan, and then confidentially, some secret talks. Okay, what do you want? What is that? Why you want to war? Let's do this, that. But while leaving his camp, they start to spread the news that Imam Hassan agreed in favor of Muawiyah. So they're spreading this. He wants to give up the caliphate. And then this is the reason. So besides the first one was the news of Qais has been killed. This one is the news that Imam Hassan himself wants to give up the caliphate. And again, these guys get upset. If this is true, maybe Khawarij may be the initiator, because Khawarij were the first one. This happens when the army is on retreat and the leaders are died. Sometimes the soldiers, because coming for booty, they instead of plundering the enemy, they go attack the one who's on their own side to collecting something. This the chaos happens, looting, stuff like that. This one, it was really the diehards which were against peace. They want to fight with Muawiyah. It was this Khawarij. But again, Khawarij, like ISIS today, can be infiltrated. So again, we have this situation. But Yaqubi also records that Muawiyah sent his men to Hassan camp to spread the news that Qais had made peace with Muawiyah. So this is another version, and come over to his side. While simultaneously spread the word in the army of Qais that Hassan made peace with Muawiyah. So, the smear campaign, we are here today. We are here today accusing Palestinians and everything. They commit themselves the same thing. All those October 7, what happened, not happened. But in any case, again, we see Muawiyah's machinations are responsible for mutiny Imam Hassan's army. This is Yaqubi one. I know I'm going more detail, but this is the crucial point. This is the moment that Imam Hassan decides kind of it cannot continue, it cannot fight. Because if the army is like that, the fight hasn't started, but the first rumor, they attack him. So things are not good. The third version is given by Dinavari, and then, like, according to his report, Imam Hassan left the Kufa for Ramadan. By the time he reached Sabat, uh, in outskirts of Al-Madan, he discerned that some of his troops were showing fickleness, lack of purpose, with an indifferent with an indifferent to the war. I think this is, I mean, if this is the only story we accept with Dinavari, Akhbar al-Tawal is not clear. And then, but Dinavari is this is really is a not a big book, but has many things in it, covered many stories covered in it, and sometimes very new. I think some of the ambiguity is because he reduced it. And I mean, he doesn't say what is the fickleness, what Imam saw. And I think the order of things are not as clear as should be. So he saw the army is not willing to fight, but this is very different than the other two examples we saw. And then he adds Imam Hassan start to give a speech. So Hassan therefore halted at Sabbath. Imam Hassan stopped in Sabbath, and he made a speech. And then he claims this speech, after this speech, people attacked the camp. So kind of blaming effectively what the decision of Imam Hassan, which I really don't think this is the order of the things. The fickleness or lack of interest of fighting, listening to rumors must happen, and the attack must happen, and this speech must be given after that. Because this speech by itself doesn't make sense at this stage if we follow Akhbar al-Tiwal, because it doesn't say much of the story. And that's the story books are. We have to, but this could be true speech. But at later time, after some other events happen. Then Imam Hassan says, "Oh people, I do not entertain any feeling of rancor against the Muslim. I am as much an overseer over yourselves of your interest as I am over my own self. Now I am considering a plan. Do not oppose me in it. Reconciliation, disliked by some of you, is better under the circumstances than the split that some of you prefer. Especially when I see most of you are shrinking from the war and are hesitant to fight. I do not therefore consider it wise to impose upon you something which you do not like." This sentence we see is the philosophy of Imam Hassan for the peace. And then when later on he's confronted by some of his greatest companions of him and Imam Ali, like Ujib Adi, somehow are not bitter, they're not happy, they're upset, they criticize him. Why do you accept peace? This is his main line of argument, uh, because kind of the Imam Ali himself, Imam Hassan, they didn't want to force people to go war. Always was exhortation, encouragement, talking, persuasion. At the end was a persuasion for doing jihad. And then we see our many examples. I mean, Imam Ali himself says, I can do it. I can easily do it like Muawiya do it. I can, he could execute a couple of those people that doesn't go to war in front of Kufa gate. All would be lined up. Or bribe them, or pay more money. Others said Imam Hassan increases the pay them. So those parts which are legit, he did. But that reign of terror, intimidation, like now in Ukraine, they have to find people very young or old to join the army, force them to go to the war front, watch the people don't want. I mean, I know sometimes you need military service, it was compulsion. So that's the question. But at least this seems is not. And then Imam says, look, people didn't want to fight. If they were, I would continue. And I don't want to use means which compromise myself, morality, my character, to enforce it on you, to produce intimidate you. We'll see some of it hopefully later, but so this is a speech, I believe it is given, but not exactly the way this Faratawal very summarily has put it. I think we can add it with other stories and sometimes come. This is not the cause of the mutiny. The way Akhbar al-Tawal also have some tendency, Abbasi tendencies. Is not for Shi. Although it has some interesting, small book, good Farsi translation, by Damghani, late Damghani, which was living in the US past few years ago. But I think this is later and maybe a reaction to what happened. Still, okay, yeah, this is continuation. Maybe I'll read it. This will explain more. When his people heard this, they look at each other and reflecting their suspicions. So they said, "Oh, the whole way Dinavari has showing it is Imam Hassan. It seems is give this speech, and people start get suspicious to him, and this is more matches to that Ibn Shahab al-Zuhri line, which rather was Umayyad line, but also Abbasid, especially Mansur, push it too. So much of the problem we had, Imam Sadiq also has alluded to, this false hadith is maybe first made by the Umayyads, but if it wasn't Abbasids, they would die, they would go away. But Abbasid pushed them, enhanced them, embellished them. Like, for example, that Abu Talib never believed, was not a believer. All those unfortunities, much of besides the Umayyads, is Mansur and other Abbasid caliphs are also should be blamed. So then, those among them who were of Kharijite persuasion said, so here Dinavari also blamed Kharijite, which if it was this order makes sense partially, but I think the order was a little bit different. Hassan has become an infidel, Kafir, as had become his father before him. Again, they said because Imam Hassan wants to do peace, again, he has become Kafir because he does continue to fight Muawiya to the end. They suddenly rushed upon him, pulled the carpet from under his feet, and tore his clothes from his shoulder. You see, this is very scary thing, tearing clothes from the shoulder. I mean, your own soldier doing that, even our enemy soldiers doing that, things doesn't look good, let alone your own soldiers. He called for help from among his faithful followers from the tribes of Rabi and Hamdan, which are the two big tribes, and we discussed it. Hamdan, who today are from these Hamdans, and they're always supporting Imam Ali, who rushed to his assistance and pushed the assailants away from him. The fourth version is Madaini, but the Madaini version is not survived, it seems. Ibn Abil Hadid has narrated it, and maybe some other books also, which we'll see after, have narrated to Ibn Isam Kufi also does it. The fourth version is given Madani. Ibn Abil Hadith says that Imam Hassan was on his way to Madain. He was wounded by a lance and sabar, and his belongings were looted. This a little bit of wording is different. The order, the way, as you saw last lecture, and I don't think it's surprise for you guys. Again, in this Sabbath, Imam Hassan was assassinated, not in a separate context. Attacking his tent, looting the tent, and removing tore his clothes from his shoulder is something. But after he was protected and decided to move toward Madain, leaving the camp in Sabat and moving to the castle in Madain, and in the protection of the walls of the castle or the court in Madain, which is Mukhtar, uncle was the ruler, Masoud al-Sarafi. On the way, Imam was attacked by a lance by a Khariji. We will see that. And it was wounded and was bleeding, wasn't deep, but still in the thigh he was wounded. And the guy was killed, the attacker assassinated, it wasn't successful. Here it seems to put the order first in the assassination, attempt to assassination, the looting. This is possible. This is possible, but it seems the way the story says and most people says, this has come later. So this is the version Abul Hadid has, but then what is Abul Hadid has information is what this news and events in this side of the camps in Sabat will has in Meskin, which the vanguard is there. The word of this reached Muawiya, he spread the news far and wide, whereupon the nobles and leaders from among 12,000 men, vanguard of Hassan, began defecting to Muawiya. So this news of the chaos in this side, near Sabat, near Madain, was a spread to the Meskin part and affected them. Now, not only Ubaidullah ibn Abbas was defected by getting money, people start to defect without being paid by Muawiyah. Now, there is a people maybe in the version of Abul Hadid mentions Abdullah ibn Abbas. It should be Ubaidullah ibn Abbas, because if anyone in the army is Ubaidullah, Abdullah Abbas is either seen in Basra, the governor in Basra, which was in time of Imam Ali, and it seems in the early part of Imam Hassan, Caliphate was there, and then persuade the Western tribes to give allegiance to Imam Hassan. But this must be Ubaidullah, but doesn't matter because it must be Ubaidullah in the vanguard sending the brother Abdullah Abbas. Informed Imam Hassan of the grave situation. It was at this point that Imam Hassan called the Iraqi leaders of his main army and with great disappointment told them of his intention to terminate the struggle and abdicate. Okay, so if they go to this version is first the assassination by a lance and then looting and then spread of news by Muawiya in the vanguard and defection of vanguard, which the news come back to Imam Hassan, and this is the stage Imam Hassan decided to make peace. This more or less is true, but the only part maybe be different. We have maybe first is the looting, then assassination, then the spread of the news, then the defection. But then maybe the message is already Abdullah ibn Abbas has been defected, and it is in other versions it is base which send the news to Imam. But this is overall the situation. I mean, I want people. I mean, you know it, but people feel what's going on and why Imam kind of does no option. Then he says, before proceeding with fifth version, it would be appropriate to point here that I mean, we want to emphasize Imam Hassan's decision to abdicate was forced upon him by the circumstances as was not of his own free desire. You know, because those alternative story which Zohri and then Umayyads and the Abbasi push, and then some of the people maybe ignorant or sincere, but ignorant people say, oh, Imam Hassan is different, Imam Hussein was different, Imam Hassan was peaceful, Imam was like his grandfather, Prophet Muhammad, Imam Hussein was just like father. Sunnis sometimes say, fiery war for the war. So look, and then they add, these are all anecdotal correlations, which is no relation. Look, the burial place of Imam Hassan is close to his grandfather, Imam Hussein close to his father. These are really silly things they say. No, really, this is any general, Napoleon, any warmongering general with this kind of situation, you don't have any other option. So you kind of you go the other, you have to go the second this way. So this is true. The fifth version we go through it is a little bit different, but you know, the point is that this is from Ibn Asam Kufi, which discussed the book, and Abu Faraj Isfahani has Maghatul al-Talibin. So these are two big writers. The importance is that in many aspects of the whole presentation in these two lectures, we relied on Ibn Asam, and we'll see today in one very crucial point, Ibn Asam report is the crucial one, but not necessarily the one today. Not this section. I'm sorry, not this section. But so that's exactly teaches us that maybe we have to go all texts for all topics, and one topic maybe the author is correct, the other one we have to be cautious. We cannot give blank check to one book. So this is the one I'm going for it, everything. This is easier one. The problem with Ibn Asam and Abu Faraj, especially in Ibn Asam, is it's a nice readable story with Shi'i tendency. As I said, it was popular that in 5th century or 6th century, we have a very beautiful old Persian prose translation of it, which is very understandable nowadays. Very beautiful, sweet, like Sadi style. Not that level, but that one. So this book was popular, but it's very nicely narrative story. But the point is that it doesn't cite his sources. There are some overlap with this Abul Faraj Maghatul al-Talibin, but he himself lists 5 or 6 sources, including Abu Makhnaf and 5 other ones, but doesn't say which part has come from which part. I mean, the problem is that we lost the original sources, so we have to work what we have. Those guys are not completely to blame because they thought the books are there. Okay, I need save space. Everybody wants detail, go find the books from library. But those libraries are burned or destroyed, or then we have end up with these books. So thus it is not clear whether this particular account is taken from. According to this version, Imam Hassan arrived at Al-Madain. He suddenly halted his army there and made a speech in which he declared his intention to abdicate. Which is this, I think, the worst one. I think this is influenced by, because it doesn't make sense. I mean, you come over there, suddenly you want to decide to abdicate without telling another story. At least one of them says, okay, he saw something in the army that they don't want to fight, they're reluctant, they're disobeying, they're not doing the things. That's something, but this suddenly coming here doesn't make sense. Wordings of the speech with few variation are almost the same quoted with Dinavari, which we read it. There was the one with was Dinavari one here. But I think this is not true. And after Hassan's speech, some of the troops fell upon him, plundered his tent, and tore his clothes. So in this way, he's closer to Dinavari. This version, unlike the other, but this version, unlike the other four described above, give no reasons for Imam Hassan's decision to deliver his speech at that particular moment. Madain and thus renders rather ambiguous. It also presents serious contradiction and raises many unsolved questions. One would ask, for example, why did Imam Hassan encourage the people and make speeches asking them to join his army for the war against Muawiya, as has been quoted earlier? We quoted earlier. Look, yeah, this doesn't make sense. I mean, all the way Imam Hassan is giving talk, encouragement, preparing the army, going out, skirmishes, and they talk. But so you have to see the editing happens. And the point is that you cannot say Ibn Asam is Shi'i, tendency Shi'i is immune. No. And now we see out of these 5 or 6 versions, the worst, one of the worst is Ibn Asam. The other ones which were Sunni have more better version. And Abul Faraj, okay, okay, mixture Abul Faraj of Ibn Asam together. So why we could go all the way from Kufa, why he would go all the way from Kufa to Madain with all necessary preparations for battle, and yet suddenly change his mind and make a declaration of peace at Madain. This is the one which one push you toward that story of Zohri, which from the beginning Imam Hassan doesn't want to stand, he wants to make a peace, and they add to it, oh, he wants to make some money, bargaining, get some money, and get retired. So the whole game was a negotiation thing to get some legitimate money. I mean, this is, I have to say, what they want to picture. They want to get some money and then retire, so he doesn't want to fight and so on. Why we should these Abdul Asaf Abul Faraj doesn't say that, but if you go kind of the Zohri version and then we'll see when the peace agreement and the ambiguity about that, that kind of shows what plot of story they're pushing. And then overall, we should therefore accept one of the 4 previous explanations, of which the most probable is Dinavari, that Hassan's speech and his announcement of resignation from the office was prompted by the Iraqi treacherous attitude and finalized by Muawiyah's successful use of espionage diplomacy. I don't agree with this one too. I'm really thinking as a mixture of the spread of rumors, defections, and the possibly the news of Base was defeated or killed, made those guys do some attack on Imam's camp. And then assassination, all of this stuff kind of made Imam maybe give the speech. Or is the okay, maybe we can say when they attack the camp, Imam give the speech, and then on the way to Madain, even after the speech, he was assassinated. That could be the case. And then still he invited, no matter what, besides the speech he gave, which was maybe for the general members of the army, he called the leadership of Iraqis too. Most probably the present in the army, but this is a smaller gathering. I guess. I mean, regarding the assassination, I briefly mentioned it just to say again, the one who did it was the diehard Khariji al-Jarrah ibn Sinan al-Asadi, and managed to ambush Imam Hassan, wounded him in the thigh with a dagger. Some say lance, some say dagger, shouting, "You have become an infidel kafir like your father before." And he could be recruited or working unconsciously for Muawiya, the same way ISIS work for Israel nowadays. This al-Jarrah was killed. Imam Hassan was bleeding profusely, carried to the castle, where he was protected with Sa'd ibn Mas'ud al-Saghafi, the uncle of Mukhtar. And then this, again, news of assassination, as we said, spread to the other side of the camp, the vanguard, and caused them large defection. Okay, we read the speech. I don't want to go through that, but again, I have briefly gone through what I was talking about, the situation in the camp, in the Sabat Madana also discuss what's going simultaneously in Meskin and the vanguard. The order of timing is not very clear, but I'm feeling Ubaydullah ibn Abbas defection was the beginning of it. They really did a good job to hold the army. Uh, there were some skirmishes, some losses both sides, and then with Muawiya saw this place is really holding the lines and fighting him, sends him invoice and telling Grace, for what cause are you now fighting? So this is the latter part. For what cause are now you fighting with us and killing yourself? We have received unquestionable word that your leader has been deserted by his people and has been stabbed with a dagger, and it is on the verge of death. You should be therefore refrain from fighting until you get the exact information about the situation. You see, Muawiya is giving, you see how he does? He giving true and wrong mixed message. Imam, yeah, people deserted, people attack Imam camp, Imam assassinated, but he's not on the verge of death because it was clear the wound is not mortal or fatal. I mean, it's not serious. So it's you see what how he's working. No matter what race was forced up to fighting. So there's a you see these are simultaneously happen to news communicate these things happen, and I had to wait for the official news about the incident from Hassan reach to him. But by this time, troops had begun defecting. And then when Reis noticed this large-scale desertation, he wrote to Imam Hassan about the gravity of the situation. So, you know, all this a vicious cycle, each negatively feedback each other. And then Imam is wounded. Imam is, his camp was looted. He was attacked. And Ubaydullah was defected. Now, from this vanguard, people are defecting. And Reis wrote a letter, explained, and the fact Reis is writing Muawiya community with Reis all suggests Ubaydullah Abbas is not in the picture and he must have been defected. Now, after receiving Reis' letter, Imam Hassan called the Iraqi leaders. This is the more official one because the previous speech is says something about reconciliation, but it's not very clear exactly what's happening. But this is the Iraqi leaders and nobles are called, the leader of tribes are called, I think, in the small gathering. And Imam says, the nobles address them in dejection and disgust. Imam kind of talked to them and said the situation. O people of Iraq, what should I do with your people who are with me? Here's the letter of Qais ibn Sa'd. He informed me that even the nobles Ashraf among you have gone over to Muawiya. By God, what shocking and abominable behavior on your part. You were the people who forced my father to accept arbitration Siffin, and when the arbitration to which he yielded because of your man took place, you turned against him. And when he called upon you to fight Muawiya once again, then you showed your slackness and lassitude. After the death of my father, you yourself came to me and paid me homage out of your own desire and wish. I accepted your homage. Look, I'm just reading, everything's clear. Imam kind of is criticizing them very clearly and accepted your bay'ah homage and came out against Muawiya. Only God knows how much I meant to do and how full of zeal and spirit I was facing Muawiya's challenge. So Imam clearly says, I wanted to fight, I came out to fight, but this is how you guys are doing, acting. So this is impossible to continue like this. Now you are behaving in the same manner as before with my father, O people of Iraq. It would be enough for me from you if you would not defame me in my religion, because now I'm going to hand over this Afer Caliphate to Muawiya. So kind of Imam decided to abdicate himself. And then, I mean, this seems, I think, was really the core of discussion, arguments. Some kind of miscommunication must happen between Imam and the leaders of the Arabis, the leader of the tribes. This is the Arabic version, so I kind of ignore it. Now, you see, this is back and forth. Grace wrote a letter, things are not good, but this letter has effected Imam decided to resign or abdicate. After his speech before the leaders of the Arabis, Imam Hassan immediately sent to Muawiya and informed him of his readiness to abdicate. So Imam sent a letter to Muawiya and most probably also a letter to Grace, let him know what the decision is. And then Grace get at least become aware of the decision of Imam Hassan. And then he talked to his people, his associated with the army and the vanguard, because they were not directly communicating with Imam. And this is interesting. He asked them, now you must choose between the two situations, two options you have. Either to fight without the leader, so you can fight, continue to fight without an Imam leader, but to pay homage to the misled Zalal Mahdi. Ask them, kind of, okay, what do you guys want to do? We don't have the Imam anymore. He wants to resign. Do we want to continue or give the bay'ah? They all replied, paying homage is easier for us than bloodshed. All of them said bay'ah is easier for us to continue war. That's based along with those who were still with him, left the battlefield and massacred for Kufa. It seems there must be more agreement. It seems all the army decided to go back to Kufa, and then you see Imam Hassan army went back to Kufa. At the end, it seems a meeting between all happens based Imam Hassan, Muawiya, and other in Kufa, when the Muawiya getting in Kufa. So it seems this is while they're communicating when they go into peace agreement, which is the topic which we're going to discuss the rest of the lecture today. And we'll see that's actually, maybe you have to be faster a little bit. Okay, surprising enough, the name of Ubaydullah ibn Abbas does not appear on this account, which I think is defective. Now, this is the part which maybe more important part, because part of what I said was a review of last lecture. I maybe go faster now. After Imam Hassan decided to abdicate, he sent somebody as a representative to the Muawiya to start the formal negotiation and agreement of resignation. The person he sent is important. The name is, when you read one source, is Abdullah ibn Nawfal ibn Haris. Okay, this doesn't ring a bell. Okay, who is it? This Nawfal ibn Haris, sometimes if you a little bit the story names familiar. Okay, this is Abdullah ibn Nawfal ibn Haris ibn Abdul Muttalib ibn Hashim. So this is a Bani Hashimi and a close associated Imam Hassan. So he's from Bani Hashim. He's one of the great-grandchildren of Abdul Muttalib, second or third cousin Imam Hassan. There is one other feature to him which is important. One of the textbooks had it. When I saw it, things clicked to me. And then because the real new things today is, I'm a little bit behind, sorry. It's maybe I try to finish it 20 minutes something. He is Muawiya's sister's son too. So he is a person which is Bani Hashim, but has Umayyad connection too. He's effectively his nephew of Muawiyah. So that's exactly the right person. If you want to reconcile with Muawiyah, Imam Hassan chose some person from Bani Hashim, which has Umayyad connection too. And knowing that is important because of what's happened. And it wasn't clear, even for myself, accidentally, I don't know which one of these sources I was looking, that one mentions explicitly, okay, this is Muawiyah's sister's son. And the other one also mentioned is Bani Hashim. So this is the crucial guide. This is Imam Hassan sending him to negotiate with some authority. At least the person understood has authority. Like Zarif, Prime Minister Zarif is sent to negotiate GCPOA. This guy has more authority. So to Muawiyah to inform his Imam Hassan's willingness to abdicate and discuss the terms of abdication with the Sunni leader on his behalf. The only condition Imam put it himself is this. The only condition Imam told this Abdullah ibn Nawfal ibn Haris was that Abdullah is a general amnesty for the people. Only ask, okay, Imam wants, Muawiyah shouldn't take revenge. Muawiyah shouldn't go after the supporters of Imam Ali. And especially Muawiyah also shouldn't go after the ones he accused about the killers of Osman, because that's the whole idea was. First he rebelled, oh, I want to revenge Osman, I will just can me those who killed Osman. But then you will see by his acceptance, that was all covered. He didn't care about it. Osman, he wants the caliphate from the beginning. Because he very easily accepts, he doesn't even care mention it. So this Abdullah ibn Nawfal, rich Meskin, and talked with Muawiyah. Then Imam Hassan authorized him to negotiate the condition of peace on his behalf, laying down the following terms. Now, Imam Hassan only told him amnesty. He went to talk to Muawiyah, and now notice his close with Muawiyah and it close to Imam Hassan, and he himself is somebody, authoritative. He put the conditions, and the conditions he put is the typical which person in that situation may be put. If it's not Imam Hassan, it's Abdullah Zubair, is somebody else. And these are the controversial uh, uh, articles of this peace agreement, which historically was always debated. Why it is there? What is why Imam choose this? Why it's a little bit odd? Why they want money and so on? Uh, and the point now we notice, and this version become clear in the Ibn Asam treatment because he said it in detail. Other ones are mixed. Look, the whole idea is that there is a proposal by this uh, Abdullah ibn Nawfal, but this proposal he write it as a draft, but Imam didn't when he came back, Imam doesn't accept it. But many textbooks refer to these, or many historians. Okay, what he listed, which is typical, they're not that odd too. So that's many often people try to justify them. Okay, this makes sense. That the caliphate will restore to Hassan after the death of Muawiya. No, this is not in the actual agreement, although many people think it is. Right, which it wasn't wrong, but it is not. That Hassan will receive 5 million dirhams annually from the state treasury. This is very, people don't like it, and I think Abbasid uh, and Umayyad spread this rumor that it's all for money. This they want to push it. He wants something for himself. This 5 million is not a small amount, and for himself. But we always Shia said no, Imam didn't want it for himself. They want to keep the poor, the martyrs of the wars of the time of Imam Ali, because Muawiya wouldn't take care of them. He wants to have the money to help them, and so on. That Hassan will receive the annual revenue of Darab Gerd. Darab Gerd is Darab Gerd. Darab, now present Darab in Fars, which was an important city that time. And that people we guaranteed peace with one another, which is a little bit vaguer that Imam said, but that means the amnesty for all. So you see, the fourth one is the Imam really requested from him specifically, which other Imam just said, I want this. The other things he was not against it, but he had these other ones, and Muawiya accepted. Look, here in this, Muawiya took a blank sheet of paper, affixed the signature and seal, and said to Abdullah, take this carte blanche to Hassan and ask him to write on it whatever he wants. So Muawiya kind of accepted. Okay. I mean, so this is starting point of negotiation, like the JCPOA, the outline of the JCPA, I think it was the first stage. And then JCPOA become the, okay, we can work with it. But Muawiya asked his associate around him to stand witness to signature and promise. And Abdullah with his carte blanche, Abdullah ibn Nawfal with his carte blanche, accompanied with some of the nobles of Quraysh among them. And then some of the nobles of Quraysh associated Muawiya came too. So Abdullah came back toward Imam Hassan with Abdullah ibn Amr, which we saw his name before, with Amr, Abdullah and Amr. We saw him with Mughayr ibn Shuba, which visited Imam before, and this is one. Abdurrahman ibn Samara, which is a close associate of Muawiyah. And along with some other nobles from among the Syrians, returned to Imam Hassan and told him, Muawiyah has agreed to all the conditions I have asked of him for you. Clearly see, Abdullah ibn Nawfal asked this condition on behalf of Imam Hassan, and he thought he's doing a good thing, and it's a typical condition. If somebody else wants to give the caliphate to Muawiyah, give him something else, and which you yourself can write on this blank paper. He just come here, write it, and things are okay. But then Imam Hassan replied, you see, this confusion even in Shia books is not clear. Imam started to reject all four. As far as the caliphate is concerned, I'm no more interested in it. Had I wanted, it would not hand it over to Muawiyah. I know some Shia views would not be happy of this. I mean, they think Shia views should stress this one. But I think this is more to the truth of which makes more sense. Anyway, as for the money, Muawiya cannot make it a condition for me when the real issue in question is a matter of concern for Muslim community. Imam kind of started to reject all those three ones. Then Imam Hassan called his secretary and asked him to write. This is the actual agreement. These are the terms on which Hassan. So you see, like the draft of early draft, like Iranian Constitution 1980 was a draft. When the Mendes Republican came, a completely new draft was ratified. These are the terms on which Imam Hassan ibn Ali ibn Talib is making peace with Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan and handing over to him the state of government of Amir al-Mu'minin Ali. That's interesting that Muawiyah should rule according to the book of God, which makes sense. This is always the condition, and they impose it on Muawiyah. The Sunnah after Prophet and the conduct of righteous caliphs. Okay, this one I know people may not happy about it. I think maybe this wasn't there. I agree, and maybe added sometimes later by by other. We see Ibn Hassan was influenced by some Sunni versions. So I know this would be not easy, but I think the first two makes sense. Imam required that because this was the condition. And this is exactly people worried Muawiyah would not follow. And this is exactly which some other talks that show Muawiyah didn't follow. Didn't follow the book of God, didn't follow Sunnah Prophet. Even if examples were there that people told him this is not the Sunnah Prophet, not Sunnah Abu Bakr, not Sunnah Omar, not Sunnah of Osman. They didn't mention even Imam Ali to him. And then he said, okay, no, I don't care. Do what I say. That Muawiyah will not appoint or nominate anyone to the caliphate after him. This is important. It doesn't make it Mulukiya, but the choice will left to the shura of Muslims. So, Imam Hassan, this is the correct way because this has important conclusions for present day too. Imam Hassan, if he's alive after Muawiyah, definitely will be considered as a candidate. But it's still the shura of the leaders of Muslims will decide who will be the leader after Muawiyah. I know this will be discussions here, but I think this, at least Ibn Islam says this is written, that the people will live in peace wherever they are in the land of God. This is the one really Imam first wanted. That the companions and the followers of Ali, Imam Ali, their lives, properties, their women and children will be guaranteed safe conduct and peace. This is a solemn agreement and covenant in the name of God, binding it, Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan, keep it and fulfill it. This is Imam was worried, like people like Hujr ibn Adi or Amr ibn Hamad al-Khazai, those really die-hard, very sincere, loyal supporters of Imam Ali, all will be targeted, which Muawiyah did, actually. After Imam Hassan died, after killing Hujr, out of the 5 very tough ones, I think 3 he killed, 1 exiled, and 1 died. So he really, I was going to mention those, but I don't think we have time. Okay, so let me finish this sooner. That no harm or dangerous acts secretly, openly will be done to Hassan ibn Ali, his brother Hussein, or to any one of the family of the Prophet. You see, I kind of Imam guessed what he's going to do. Ahlul Bayt and Nabi, this agreement is witnessed by Abdullah ibn Nufil, Umar ibn Salama, and so on. So this seems the more typical. At least Ibn Asam says this is the agreement, not that 5 million of the Arab Jerd or Kufa. Because one other part they say the Khazana of Kufa, but that 5 million which was written, the confusion is that this one says 5 million dirhams annually, which is huge. And some version says the 5 million which currently is present, whatever is currently present is Kufa Baitul Mal, treasury. And that was 5 million. So 5 million. 5 million every year is too much. 5 million, no, but this annual review of Dar Abjad makes sense. One city, they like fiefdom or something like that. These are all typical negotiator would use, but Imam, because of different mindset, rejected them all and wrote which was only for the benefit of community. Now, then after that, after this agreement was signed, they moved to the Kufa. They all gathered in the mosque, and then Imam Hassan gave a talk. Then Muawiya and Amras gave a talk. There were some discussions with the base and other stuff. I didn't. I have the Arabic speech, which is a little bit more complete. There was English, but I want to be a little bit different. I just read maybe a little bit of the English part. This is only one sentence, and it's interesting. So because we're short in time too, and that went to discussion, so I want to finish it 2 or 3 minutes. So look, this is not full of it, but this is part of Imam Hassan's speech, which Abul Faraj gives. If it is true, it's very interesting. But it could be some later editing, what some of the words happen. You see what point I'm saying. The Khalifa, successor of the Prophet, here Imam defines in his small talk who Khalifa should be. So, and who is the intended audience is Muawiyah. That, okay, we give it to you, the mantle, but this is how you should behave. The Khalifa is one who dedicates himself to the way of God and Sunnah of his Prophet, not the one who's oppressor and aggressor. The latter is only a king. You know, this is the whole idea comparing Caliphate and Mulukiyah, Khilafat and Mulukiyah, Caliph and king. It seems if this is true, is the first one who's done it is Imam Hassan himself. That he says the latter is only a king who rules a kingdom mulk, whose enjoyment is little and his pleasure is short-lived, leaving behind only a trace of it. I do not know if this is a trial for you and a grant of worthy livelihood to you for a limited period. Is exactly is kind of like knowing the future, seeing the future, telling him, you are becoming caliph, you have the option to do that. This is how you should do it. But you can also change it to Mulukiyah, which Muawiya says himself. I'm the first Malik. And so he wants to be Malik. He doesn't want to be caliph in the true sense of it. I'm finishing with this one slide, 2 slides. So maybe we could go more. There's a room to going after the abdication, a lecture for that. But very briefly, after his abdication, because that's our title, not necessarily after that, Imam Hassan left Kufa, settled in Medina, leading a quiet, retired life without engaging politics. We can see his attitude. You know, the interesting thing happens. Despite the peace agreement, despite the all gathered in Kufa, immediately the Khawarij rebelled. A group of Khawarij rebelled. So things were not settled with Muawiya, but this is not the Muawiya's problems. And then we can see the attitude. Muawiya tricks, because Imam is on his way back from Kufa a few days later to Medina, which this rebellion happens. And on his way back to Medina near Ghoddoussi, he received a message from Muawiya, which asking him, come help me to fight the Khawarij. Because Muawiya wants to use the credibility, you know, of Imam to use it on his benefit. You know, he was testing how Imam Hassan what he wants to do. He wants to join his caliphate. You know, maybe I can change him, bribe him. It was very credibility for him if the grandson of Prophet is working for my administration. But Imam Hassan replied he had given up fighting against Muawiya in order to bring peace to the people, and that he would not take part in a campaign at his side. Although some of the companions of Shia did it, join fighting. Not big ones. Some of them did join fighting the Khawarij. I think that some of them are fed up and angry with Khawarij too, because I think that the defeat here that forced the hand of Imam Hassan to abdicate is partially, definitely, they had the blame in it too. This passive and withdrawn attitude towards Muawiyah he maintained while pacifying those of the Shias who occasionally visited him and expressed their bitter feelings against the Umayyad ruler. So the next 8-9 years till Imam passed and martyred, and the Muawiya kind of was like that. He kept the Shias going. There's another talk could be how the people reacted to him. And then till he was martyred, Muawiya, after Imam Hassan was martyred, get a fear hand, start to change the structure of Kufa, attacks to diehard Shias, planning for the Caliphate Yazid. But Imam Hussein also stopped. In Kufa, come talk to him. People from Kufa come talk to him. Okay, Imam Hassan passed away. Now you Imam rebel against Muawiya, uprising against Muawiya. But Imam said, no, till the Muawiya is alive, I stick to the peace agreement. After that, okay, we can look. So I will stop with this verse. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يريدون ليطفئوا نور الله بأفواههم والله ومتم نوره ولو كره الكافرون هو الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون.